Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. The GCLS Virtual Series is welcoming you to the virtual event, Shake, Swizzle, and Stir, Cocktails and Mocktails Inspired by Books. I Read Indies is excited to be sponsoring this fun and unique virtual series evening event. As unbelievable as it sounds, I Read Indies is marking its first birthday, and shaking, swizzling, and stirring sounded like a perfect way to celebrate. If you're not familiar with I Read Indies, we are a collective of authors who self-publish quality sapphic literature. Just go to www.ireadindies.com to visit our list of authors and see what you've been missing. Now, without further ado, I will hand this over to Veronica, Georgia, and Karin. Enjoy the event and cheers.
Great. Thank you, Casey. I'm Veronica Gutierrez. I'm the author of As You Look, my debut novel, and I also dabble in mixology. I like to do these for fundraisers for our friends. But Karin and Georgia, why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves, and then we'll get started. Georgia?
Karin, you go ahead.
Oh. I'm Karin Kallmaker, author, been around a long, long time. And it's another way of saying old. And I like a good cocktail. I'm not a real mixologist myself. I love it when my friends make them for me. So I'm really happy to be here, and I got plenty to learn. So off to you, Georgia.
Awesome. I am Georgia Beers. I have also been doing this for a long time. But you know what, Karin, we are not old. We are just pleasantly aged, which is okay. Indeed. It's good. Yeah. It's good. I also am not a mixologist, but I'm really interested in mixology. I was never any good at science. So that's why Veronica's here, because I can't do what she does. But in my family, I'm kind of the person I like to be behind the bar. I like to serve things. So learning this stuff is so much fun. And I've been really looking forward to this. So this is going to be a good time. I'm glad you guys are all here.
Great. Thank you for having us. And thank you for being here and for writing the books that you do, because they are inspiring some of this today. So I am not a professional mixologist either. I actually like doing mixology research quite a bit, which I'm sure you know that entails going to a lot of bars and having bartenders share their recipes. And they do, and it's wonderful. They're very generous. So my wife and I ended up doing this for fundraisers and have learned a lot along the way. In today's session, we are going to do 4 drinks. We're going to make 4 drinks. One of them is the chairman of the board, which is Karin's favorite, an old-fashioned, which is Georgia's favorite, the cinnamon roll, which is also from Georgia, which I really like. That's a new one for me.
It's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also the Conchita that Karin introduced us to. So I'm going to start, first of all, with just some real basics about bars and tools. I'm going to use several tools here, but you can use tools at home. For example, I will use what's called a Boston shaker. It's the kind you see at bars often. And these fit just like this. And it's the easiest one for me to use. It's what I like. But you can also use a wide mouth water bottle. Can make drinks that when we travel, I'll sometimes use that. We're also going to use a jigger to measure. You can also use a shot glass. Shot glass is usually 1 ounce. You can use that from at home. And I'm not sure yet. We're going to use a muddler. This is something that is called a big ass muddler. From the cocktail kingdom, if you Google it, this is what you will find. I sometimes tell people to use a rolling pin as a muddler. Now, I don't have a rolling pin. I use this as a rolling pin when I'm making pizzas. So I use my big ass muddler for that. There's also a different—
It's versatile.
That's right. There's also a different kind of muddler that has these little things on the end, so kind of grated, and you can use that as well. That's usually used with limes or lemon. So, and in terms of glasses, you can use any glass you want. You really don't need a whole array of glasses. A tall glass will do for some drinks. A short glass will do for most other drinks. I'm going to use a coupe for the first glass, just because I happen to have it. And I'm going to show you how to use that.
That's like the only bar glass I don't have. I don't have coupe glasses. I've got like everything else, but I don't have those.
So coupe glasses, by the way, make a great gift. And we have this bar here that we put together because I wanted to be able to make drinks while I watch football. Once people learn that you have this kind of thing,
Oh,
they
yeah.
give you bar stuff. So half the year, I did not buy. It's something that friends did. All right, so we're going to do the chairman of the board first, Karen's favorite drink, and it's vodka and gin. I'm going to use two French ones that I happen to have here that were gifted among the gifted liquor. Some Cointreau, half an ounce of Cointreau, and a lemon peel. I put lemon rind in the instructions, but it's actually a lemon peel. So
Veronica, is Cointreau orange? That's orange, right?
Cointreau is orange. Yes, you can use orange curacao, Grand Marnier.
It also goes in margaritas, right? Cointreau?
Yes, it does. So before we start, I am going to show you how to chill a glass. What you do, you can either have it in the fridge beforehand or put some ice in it, just like this, and let it sit while you make the drink. And that will chill the glass as you're putting the ingredients together. So let me.
And everybody loves a cold cocktail.
Right.
That's,
Absolutely.
it starts to get warm. It feels like the evening's wearing down.
It's
You just want it cold again, right?
And because this cocktail will not have ice in it, it'll be
Right.
in a chilled glass. The chilled glass will help keep it cold.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and start making it. This is going to be building the drink in a shaker. And usually what you do is you put the ice in the larger part of the shaker and the liquid in the shorter one so that you can pour it in and then start shaking. And after I'm done with this, I will show you a little bit about how to use the Boston shaker. But while I'm making it, I'll go through and put in the ingredients. Karin, why don't you tell us why this is your favorite?
Well, it's a real toss-up. I love a good Long Island iced tea. But the chairman of the board, I got introduced to them on Princess Cruises, which I think is like almost an old lady kind of thing, but I'd never had it before.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I know it feels like but I was much younger than I am now when I was first introduced, but they're apparently it's specialty of Princess Cruises, and all the bars make them, and you ask for one, and you can get it with bitters, which I learned over time to really like, to have a little drop of bitters on top. And there's something, especially when it's super cold, there's something very luscious and sophisticated about it, but it's also the mix of flavors, and the Cointreau being sweet, it really rolls over your tongue in a really nice way, that it hits the sweet part and the bitters hit the bitter part and the sour in between. It's just all the things. And I just love it. And later if we want, I can do my treatise on which part of our tongues do what, because I think maybe this audience might
the bottom of our drinks, Karin, then you need to go there.
Then I can go there. Yeah. But it's just that it's a great sipping drink. And if it's a very nice bar, they'll usually bring you another glass with a couple of ice cubes in it, so that as you've finished about half, it's starting to not be quite so chilled. You can go ahead and throw some ice in it. It doesn't ruin it, but you can continue to keep it cold that way. It's a drink that's better cold. Once it warms up, it smells like a lot of booze and not much else. And you can still drink it. I am saying you can still drink it.
Cruising is amazing for bar, or for bar.
It really
I
is.
cruised once. I loved it, and there was a bar like everywhere I turned.
Yes, well, and they gave away the bar package was part of what we got when we joined the cruise, which is kind of wasted on me. I'm a social drinker. I don't tend to drink a lot at home. So, and my wife, it was completely wasted on my wife, but she had mocktails. The thing is, she could have mocktails all she wanted, and quickly learned which, like an herbaceous drink like a mojito, is great as a mocktail because it's got all this other flavor going on. You're not counting on the alcohol to flavor it up. So looks like Veronica is ready.
Sure. And just a hint on mocktails, by the way, most drinks with vodka being the only liquor, can make excellent mocktails as well. So you substitute the liquor with basically nothing. You take that out and it comes out pretty good. But here's the Boston shaker. Now, when you shake it, you see it's already frosted. That's the way you chill the drink. And you see the opening is wider on the top. This is 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And what you do to get it seals, what you do is you hit it right at the 3 o'clock and it knocks it loose.
I cannot master that. I cannot. I'm banging on the thing trying to get it. I will show you. Get it. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. My other problem with shakers is that they make my hands cold. So I got one that's insulated and it screws shut. So I don't have to do that because I can't. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I can't.
So if you slam it on top like that, it'll help seal. And when you shake it, it'll seal, right? So
it's 3 o'clock, you said, where you hit it?
Get it right at 3 o'clock.
Okay. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try it because I still have one of those, but it's so frustrating.
All right. And then
I trust you, Veronica. I trust you.
What you do is you take the ice out of your chilled glass and you'll see that it's frosted because the ice has been sitting in it. And you take your strainer, Boston strainer there as well, or spoon, a slotted spoon will work as well. And you pour it into your chilled glass.
Pretty.
Now, if you shook it really hard, there's some ice in it, which are perfect. Now for the peel, what I've done is I've trimmed it a little bit. So I cut it something like this, right around the lemon, and then I trimmed it. So I put little points at the end and slit down the middle. And what you do with that then is you turn it in itself like that. Hopefully you get it to stay. And then you put it right on the glass.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
And the purpose of
Pretty.
the is to add some flavor because you get the aroma of the and that type of thing. So cheers. Oh, this is lovely, Karen.
Isn't that yummy?
This is really good.
Yeah.
I've never had one of these.
It seems like it would be really refreshing.
It is. And the lemon is great. And like I said, I've also had it with just a couple Angostura bitters, just a couple drops. And that also, it's the aromatic thing that opens up your sinuses and suddenly you're smelling fruit in faraway places and blue umbrellas and ocean breezes. It's just really wonderful.
I'm going to try some Pestal bitters. I'm going gin and tonics.
Ooh.
So I'm just going to put a little bit on there. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It really make a difference.
Yep. It
Wow.
kind of opens it all up. It hits every part of your tongue and your sinuses. It's a well-bodied drink. So that's why I like it.
So Veronica, I bartended for a while, many, many years ago, and I can eyeball most stuff, but I find that gin, I have to measure because I feel like you can easily ruin a drink by overdoing the gin. Do you find that?
I agree, especially if it's a very floral gin.
Yes.
Yes. Have a strong flavor like that.
Yep.
Definitely. I prefer the milder ones. They're not quite as floral.
Yeah. Yeah.
George's rye gin.
Okay.
That I like using in gin and tonics.
Yep.
But it's not quite as floral as others.
I bought the Ryan Reynolds, the actor Ryan Reynolds has a gin out called Aviation. What is it?
Aviator.
Yes. And I bought it because I wanted to try it. And it makes a really good gin and tonic. It makes a terrible martini because it's super floral. And I don't want that because I like my martini extra dirty and salty. So the floral just does not blend. That's the first time that I ever bought an alcohol for a specific drink and it didn't work.
Wow.
So that might be why I like the rye one, because in gin and tonics, that must be it.
Yep.
That makes sense. Perfect.
Interesting.
And he's so cute.
He's so cute and it's good. It's just not a good martini gin. In a gin and tonic, it's fabulous.
So we can go on to the next one in case people weren't making that one. And if you want to make the next one, the old fashioned, since we just did chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra is often called chairman of the board, right? Mm-hmm. There is also a chairman of the board old fashioned that he liked. So an old fashioned takes bourbon, sugar, the bitters, and orange peel and cherry. Mm-hmm. He didn't like the sugar in it. He preferred maple syrup. And if you
which is sugar, Frank.
It's sugar.
And the viscosity also helps it blend in the drink, stir in.
Yeah, it would definitely give it a different taste.
Yeah, you gotta like maple syrup. If you don't-
Interesting.
My wife doesn't like maple syrup, so she does not like that drink. But we're gonna try your old fashioned, Georgia.
Okay.
That one is going to take bourbon, and my favorite is Four Roses right now.
Okay. Interesting. I'm just learning whiskeys and bourbons and stuff like that. So I keep trying different kinds that different people recommend. So that's one I've not heard of before.
Hey, Georgia, somebody wants
Yes.
to know what your favorite bourbon is so far. The one you're drinking?
Well, I tend to use Jack Daniels, which is not a bourbon, it's a whiskey. I tend to use Jack Daniels for my old fashions just because I'm familiar with it. But
It's a reliable friend.
yeah, I'm going to say something really embarrassing. I'm not super well versed on the differences between bourbon and whiskey. I know there's a difference but this is an alcohol. Whiskeys and bourbons are new to me. I've always been a rum girl. I'm good at vodka, gin, not so much, but I'm now learning whiskeys and bourbons. And so I don't think that I have a favorite. Although a friend of mine, I just had old fashions out with a friend of mine and he ordered Bullet. And is that a bourbon?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And it was good. So I'm going to say I'm in that vicinity right now, but I'm still learning.
You would like Four Roses then, the small guy.
Okay. All right. I'm going to write that down and I'm going to go get some of that.
Like rye forward bourbons.
I love rye. I've got my Bullet rye right here. I like rye whiskey. So I think I would like rye bourbon.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Okay.
So we have the sugar, and you can use the Angostura bitters. It's the most popular bitter that is used, right? And bitters are basically made with just a little bit of alcohol and different kinds of herbal concoctions. And you let them age for a bit. They put wood chips and cinnamon and, different spices and herbs in it. And then they strain it and it'll last for a long time because it has alcohol in it. Now for mine, because I like chocolate bitters and mole bitters in my fashions, I am, look at Karen's eyes open up. I am going
Did someone put chocolate?
a few drops of that. You're supposed to soak the sugar cube with the bitters, but I'm using actual granulated sugar because I don't have sugar cubes. But basically, you put in the bitters and drown the sugar in it. It's you can put in too many bitters at some point, but if you drown the sugar cube and just soak the sugar in it, it should be fine. You just don't have the bitters swirling around, and that would be too much. But if you do that, you should be okay. And then you have 2 ounces of the bourbon. So I'm going to put in one ounce first, just to swirl it around a bit and have the sugar dissolve.
Okay.
Because if you're using the sugar cube, definitely use your big ass muddler.
That will never not crack me up.
You can also use the pestle. If you have a mortar and pestle,
Yes.
you're a foodie, you can use a pestle to
Okay.
grind up sugar and spare, just don't break your glass with it because pestles tend to be heavy, but
Yeah, perfect. So I'm using just a bar spoon too.
Veronica, a friend of mine he gave me 3 bottles of bitters that he made, and one of them was orange bitters, which works really well in an old fashioned.
Absolutely.
Really well.
So now I'm going to put in the next ounce of bourbon. And oftentimes what you can do at this point is put in a nice ball. I have them. I forgot to bring them out, but you can get clear ice balls in a clear ice mold and have that in there. Now, what you want to cover up the glass a little bit because you don't want it to splash when you put in the ice. I just put regular ice in there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take an orange peel. And this is where the orange bitters comes in too, I guess, for that flavor. And my recommendation is that you take the orange peel right after you cut it. It's nice and new right there. And you just pinch it. And when you pinch it, it fell in. But when you pinch it, I don't know if you could tell, it expressed some of the oils off of the peel. And normally what you do is you twirl that around the glass and then and you drop it in. And in this case, I'm also going to use cherry because that is one of George's favorites also, I understand.
The cherry is important in an old fashioned.
There you go.
No maraschinos for an old fashioned. I get these ones. I buy them from Amazon.
There you go.
But they're like, I mean, it doesn't have to be a Luxardo cherry, but these are like darker and sweeter. And I put a little bit of the juice from the cherry in there just to sweeten it up a little because I'm a wuss.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. That's why mine's a little darker than yours because I got some cherry juice in there.
Yum.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I use the little really bright red ones, whatever those are called. They're also very nice with the tail on them for Shirley Temples. When we
Maraschinos,
When we do our fundraisers, our nieces put up a little Shirley Temple table.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so cute.
They get tips. They learn how to measure and
maraschino cherries are delicious. I remember when I was a kid, my mom always had a jar of them in the fridge. And when her and my dad would go out, I'd be like in the fridge eating the maraschino cherries.
Yeah.
So good. They're like candy.
Yeah.
I did that with Manischewitz. my sister and my mom claimed that she gave us a spoonful of Manischewitz just to increase our appetite. I think she gave it to us for other reasons. Every once in a while, we do it.
That's awesome.
I never did that as a parent.
I don't believe you at all, Karin. We also have a question in the Q&A. Ann Hart wants to know how many of today's drinks can be made as mocktails and what is your favorite mocktail? And I'm assuming she's asking all of us since she doesn't specify whose is the favorite. So I don't drink mocktails, Ann. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I think if I'm going to have a mocktail, it's going to be something complicated. Like, I don't know. Someone else answer this.
I usually go for the blended drinks because they're fun.
Yes.
And you end up with this adult smoothie that's a
Like
little
a
more
daiquiri?
complicated than what you get at Jamba Juice. It'll have just a little more extra things and an umbrella in it, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
I make several because we have a lot of parties here and we have friends who don't drink. So I'll make different kinds of mocktails. The mojito mocktail is one of them. I use macerated berry syrup that adds more flavor to it. That one's a great one to have without any rum in it. But my favorite one is probably the passion fruit and orange juice mocktail.
Yum.
That sounds delicious.
That sounds yummy.
And you can take the actual passion fruit, just open the passion fruit, put it in the glass, put it in a shaker, and about I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 ounces of orange juice. Shake that up nicely with ice, and then pour it with the ice in the glass and top it off with club soda. And it is a delicious mocktail. It's one of the favorite non-drinking friends here. In fact, I was in Mexico City recently and they had that at a restaurant. And I was really surprised that they had it and they made it better than I do, but it was
somebody, Lynn Carlson is asking, I'd like to know when you started mixing drinks. I'm assuming she's asking you, Veronica, when did you start with this hobby of yours? Because you said you're not a mixologist. So this is like a side hustle, right? Right.
It's an entertainment thing. I started making them probably in, I don't know now what year it was, probably in 2015 or so. My wife was working up in San Francisco and I was working down here. And whenever I'd go up there, she would arrange for a fancy dinner and I really didn't want a heavy dinner. I said, you know what, all I really want is, a cocktail and some bar food. And then maybe go to another bar and do that.
And a bunch of cheese, right? Yeah.
Right. I never seen anything do that. So she started curating these bar hopping trips. We did a lot of speakeasies in San Francisco. And we found that the bartenders were extraordinarily generous with their recipes. So we'd come home and I tried to make some of them at home. And then I would make them with a group of friends watching football. And I got tired of making the drinks in the kitchen. This space back here behind me was all cabinets, storage. So we put the bar in here so that I could watch TV while we're making the drinks instead. And then we started doing fundraisers, and it was a lot of fun. So probably in about 2015 or so, I think.
That's awesome.
Wow.
You know, it's funny. You said something earlier about the ice, and the best martini I ever had, and some people know this story. The best martini I ever had was at the Ritz in New York City. I was there. It was like the middle of the afternoon. So it's like 2:00. There's hardly anybody in there. And you said that about the bartenders. Bartenders are great. And I get made fun of, but I would rather sit at the bar than at a table. So we're at the bar and we're talking to the bartender, and he's making a martini, and he taught me about the ice chips. And that the point of shaking the martini is to get some of those ice chips to sit along the top of the drink. I did not know that. So like bartenders are awesome. I love when they share stuff like that. It's something I took home with me, and now I know, and I impart that wisdom to everybody I know, because they think I make really good martinis, but I'm like, this is why, because I learned, I listened. Bartenders are amazing.
Yep, they are. They're great people. So yeah, so that definitely works. Usually shaking is just to cool the drink, to chill it. But if you shake really hard and you get that little ice on top, the chips on top, so good. It's delicious. We have a good friend who makes martinis. So instead of gin or vodka, she uses mezcal and makes dirty martinis with mezcal with anchovy olives.
Oh my goodness.
So good.
I love my dirty, my martinis have to be extra, extra, extra dirty, like as much salt as you can get in there.
Yeah, 5 olives, not just 2.
Yes. And I like olives stuffed with gorgonzola the best. That's my favorite. Because also salty.
Yeah. Olives and cheese, one cannot go wrong.
Right?
That's
I mean,
just
I could
impossible,
live
right?
on that. I should have been like lived in Greek medieval times or whatever, where they just subsisted on bread and cheese and wine.
The bread, olives, cheese, and wine, and we're done, right? Done.
That's all you need.
That would have looked like a Renaissance painting, but I do now anyway. So it's fine. That's what I'm built for.
As long as you're. All right, so we're going to move on from salty drinks to this cinnamon roll.
Oh, the cinnamon roll.
I have to warn everybody, this is a deceiving drink.
Yes, it is.
It's delicious. It can knock you out. So I had never used rum chata before, but Georgia told us about it, and that's what I'm going to use, rum chata. And
it's delicious.
And Kahlua. Now, for some people, this might be a little sweet. So what I am going to use for mine, because for me, it's a little bit sweet, but I am going to use 1 part heavy cream for.
Oh, nice.
Product. So this is another drink that we are going to shake. And you should know that that the rum chata, because it has horchata in it, basically it's rice milk, it will froth when you shake, which is really great.
Yeah.
So, the recipe calls for 3 ounces of rum chata. I'm going to use 2, and then 1 ounce of the cream, and 1 ounce of Kahlua, and then a cinnamon stick or a little sprinkle of cinnamon on top.
It looks so pretty too. I can't wait till you finish it. It looks so pretty.
While I'm doing it, why don't you tell us about it, Georgia?
Okay. I was writing Shaken or Stirred, which is the first book in my Swizzle Stick romance series. And my main character, Julia Martini, owns a bar. And she has opened it, and at this point, we're getting into the holiday season, and she's trying to make some specialty, like signature drinks for her gatherings at the bar when she's open. And I have her inventing stuff, like coming up with new stuff. So I, of course, am like looking up drinks, and I'm experimenting, and I'm putting things together. And I wanted holiday flavors. So you've got, it's interesting because the rum chata, I think, has a little bit of cinnamon in it, which is why it tastes like cinnamon. This drink tastes like cinnamon, but combining it with the Kahlua really brings that cinnamon out. And it's just such a festive drink. It looks festive. It tastes festive. I brought it to my mom, because my mom is like, I will experiment drinks with my mom all the time. So I brought it to, I think I brought it to Thanksgiving. I brought it to some gathering, and like mom and I had 2 of those, and we were like, we need to stop, because as Veronica said, they are deceiving because it's all alcohol. It's rum chata and it's Kahlua. And that's why Veronica's adding the heavy cream just to add a little something else, because it's all alcohol, but they're just delicious. It's like drinking a milkshake. I mean, you don't have any idea you're drinking alcohol. They're just yummy. And I was so happy with them. And so I put them in the story, and everybody at the bar is drinking them, and everybody's commenting on them, and everybody's getting a little happy, and they're wonderful. I actually, you can see behind me, I've got some rum chata and I've got some Kahlua, and I make them on occasion.
And it's almost, it's kind of like a grown-up nog. It's a cinnamon nog. It's rich, and it has a very milky, berry flavor, but rum chata is rice milk. And
love rum chata.
Instead of heavy cream, you could also use any kind of non-dairy thickened creamer.
Look at how pretty. Look at how pretty that is.
How pretty it is.
So festive. I hope some of you guys are making them at home, because they're just delicious.
And you're going to have a fine evening.
Summer, and it's not really a summer drink, but they're so yummy.
You're going to have a fine evening.
I can see where if you have more than two, you can be.
Yeah, you need to be careful. Don't be driving.
Oh my God, that is so good. How did you come up with it? You were just looking up recipes?
Yeah. Yep. I tried to use what I had. I tried to stick to holiday type flavors, your cinnamons, your peppermints, that kind of stuff. And that just came up.
Awesome.
Yep.
This is delicious.
I think it was actually, there's a woman on Instagram who had like a bunch of holiday drinks, and I was like, let me see what some of these are. And yeah, it's just so good.
I had never used rum chata before. I thought it was kind of a gimmick or whatever. I'm like, I'm not going to try that, but yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Wow, delicious. So do you use it in one of your books?
I did. Yep. I used it in the first one in the series. Yes.
All right. There you go. Put to good use.
Yes.
All right. So then the next one, we're going to do something that can be a mocktail as well. You just leave out the alcohol. The main alcohol is dark rum for the Conchita, right? And the dark rum that I like to use is spice rum. So Kraken is a good one to use for blended drinks, especially. It's something good to use. Ice, pineapple juice. I'm just going to put in a bit of this, about 5 ounces of it. And then orange juice, about 2 ounces, just regular orange juice from store-bought or fresh squeeze. Fresh squeeze is always best. And then frozen strawberries, although I've had the strawberries sitting out here for a bit, so they're not quite frozen anymore, but I will use strawberries. And almond orgeat, which is basically just syrup. This is what's often used. You can use it in coffees. You can use it in so it's non-alcoholic, and it is a great syrup to use. We're also going to use a little bit of blue curacao and green chartreuse. This is a very herbal drink, so you might want to go a little light on it if you don't think that you like the bitterness of it. What I've done is I've put them in little squirt bottles because I put them in after I blend stuff. And then
dropper bottles, very handy. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And Karin, I'd love to hear the story while I'm making how you came up with it. I'm going to put myself on mute a little bit because I'm going to use the blender.
Okay. Well, I had a character who was a glaciologist, scientist who put herself through grad school attending bar. And for some reasons of the story, she has left Fairbanks, Alaska, where she grew up, but where one goes to study glaciers, and is living in Key West. And Key West is the Conch Republic. They have their own colors of flag, and they talk a lot about the original settlers of the area. And it's a thing when you go to Key West. Everywhere you turn, the flags are that bright green and blue and pink, or a melony pink, and so those are the colors. So I had my bartender in Key West. How did she get a job at this very cool ice bar that I invented, where everything's made of ice and your drinks are served in glasses made of ice? And it's because she understood ice, but she had to come up with a signature drink. So this was her signature drink, which has the colors of the Conch Republic and was very tropical and very, for a bartender. And when you were all set up, pretty easy to slam in a blender and crank them out to the tourists who were paying to rent a parka and sit in an ice bar in their flip-flops and board shorts and drink. So that's how I came up with it. But you can kind of tell I'm not a mixologist because, as Veronica, who is so good at this stuff, pointed out, there's not enough liquid in it. So she's adding, it just won't blend the way I described it. So she's adding the pineapple juice, which makes perfect sense. And then also, I described the bartender using pipettes already filled with the things to put stripes on the side of the glass. And that's easier to describe in fiction than it is to do in real life. So that's the story of how this character invented this drink and the very cool ice bar that she worked in. And then the generators fail and the ice all melts and she has a 2-week hiatus and she goes back to Alaska to solve her problems. That book is warming trend, by the way.
So I probably did not use enough ice on this, but there is the squirt of the curacao and the green chartreuse, which is not very bright. So it turns out it's not very bright in the.
It's brighter in fiction.
Yes.
Everything is.
Isn't that the truth?
And of course,
and an umbrella. It has to have an umbrella.
That is so pretty.
And it's so pretty.
Stay down there. Stay down.
Well, that is good. You know, this orgeat really makes all the difference. When I first tried making it, Georgia, it reminded me of a Mai Tai. Even though it doesn't taste like a Mai Tai, I guess maybe it's just because it's but
Anything that tastes like almond.
But the almond would put in some umami, right? And take away from all the relentless sweet of it. Yeah. And the pineapple juice is another great addition because it puts sour on the side of your tongue instead of all being right there at the front and it's just nothing but sugar.
Yeah.
And right. Yeah. The almond would be great.
It's a delicious shake. And you don't
very grown up.
Veronica, what's your favorite drink? What's your favorite drink to drink and what's your favorite drink to make?
My favorite drink to drink right now is probably the Boulevardier.
Okay, and what's in that?
It's like a Negroni, but instead of gin, you use bourbon. And a Negroni is usually equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari. You put it in a mixing glass, you stir it in the ice, and then you strain it over ice. I like doing it with bourbon, not equal parts. I'll do 2 ounces of bourbon, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, and ½ ounce of the Campari because it's pretty bitter, and I don't like it too bitter. So I'll do that. I'll also sometimes use mezcal instead of bourbon, and that's my go-to nightcap. So I like making that. In terms of the ones I like to make, I probably like to make margaritas. I like to make a mezcalita, the ones with mezcal, with the orange curacao and Gusano salt. Those are really
now
good.
when you make a margarita, do you make it with a sour mix or do you make like a real margarita?
Well, I'll do both. I'll use agave, which is the syrup here, with lime juice. Make the sour, and then I'll add more lime juice as I'm making it.
Okay.
I'll use one that is actually really popular that I've used lately. I'm trying to see if I have one in here right now. It's a mix that is made by Tres Agaves. And it has the recipe on it. It's 3, 2, 1. And it's I think partly because it has some lime juice in it already. It's almost like a mix from scratch. So that one's a good one to use. And I don't use what is it? I don't use Cointreau as much. I'll use Grand Marnier sometimes or
triple sec.
Orange curacao. I don't use triple sec.
So much triple sec? How come?
Yeah, I don't think it's as flavorful as the curacao or the others.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's more syrupy, I think. The others are a little more flavorful. So
awesome.
I like those. And it's one of the favorite drinks in our house. So
yeah,
like those and the caipirinhas. It's
oh my God, those are so good.
that's why we have this.
Oh my goodness. So my ex worked with somebody and they would have a party and there was a man from what's the ethnicity of a caipirinha? Where's it from? Is
Brazilian.
it
It's Brazilian.
It's Brazilian.
okay? So yeah, so he's Brazilian. So he spent the entire party in the kitchen making those, like grinding up the limes, and they were so good. Oh my goodness, they were so good. That was his job at the party. That's all he did was make those drinks, and they were just delicious.
It's like spiked lemonade.
Yes, and I'd never heard of them until I went to those parties. They were so good.
And
Could you say it again a little more slowly for people like me who are going, what now?
it's called caipirinha, and it uses cachaça. Cachaça is the Brazilian rum that we use, and it's basically just limes that you remove as much of the rind as you can off of, and the pith in the middle. Quarter it, put it in a glass. It's a glass about this big, so an old-fashioned glass. Sprinkle it with sugar, and then muddle it. You muddle the lime and the sugar, and then you add the rum, the cachaça. Shake it up with ice, pour it back in the glass, and it is absolutely delicious.
Heaven in a glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I am such a rum girl, and I think it's because I have such a sweet tooth, and rum is, made
it's
from
pretty
sugar.
sweet. Yeah.
And I've been to places where they make it not with sugar, but with simple syrup.
Okay.
I don't know why, but it tastes horrible when they use simple syrup instead of.
But I think with the actual sugar, you get a little bit of texture, though, don't you? Even like the muddling. I mean,
Well, and I think that working the acid of the sugar into the lime would express out more of the oil
that makes
and
sense.
more of the flavor of zest. You get a different flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But for some reason, the simple syrup just makes it taste sour. I don't know more than it does with sugar.
That's
But-
interesting to know, huh?
There's a great Brazilian restaurant called Fogo de Chao. It's a steakhouse, and it's a chain restaurant, but we really like it. And when they're training new bartenders, every once in a while they'll use the simple syrup, and I would send those back.
You're like, nope,
Nope.
taking the easy way out.
And then the manager comes over and says, "No, you're supposed to use real sugar." So yeah. But these are.
Karin, what's your favorite drink? I know you're not you don't drink a ton, but do you have a favorite drink? Like if you're out at a bar, what are you prone to order?
Who, me?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, what am I prone to order? It kind of depends on the kind of place you are.
Okay.
If it's a place that specializes in quick drinks to get them out the door, and really, I know that those are going to be pretty watered down. So I like to go a little off the menu and pick something that they have to make up fresh.
Okay.
So that's when a chairman of the board, even in Long Island, they have to sort of make those up fresh, and it won't be too watered down. So I'm a thrifty drinker. I like a lot of bang for my buck. So that's why my drinks tend to be 100% booze.
I was going to say a Long Island iced tea is like everything in the well.
It's everything they've got, and they throw it in, and then you get some ice, and
Yep.
you can nurse that for a long time.
Yeah.
Those are called spirit forward drinks.
Spirit forward.
Spirit forward.
Yes, I am spirit forward. Yes, somebody said GCLS 2022 is going to be lit.
You know it.
Isn't it always? And we're all going to be there, right?
Yep, that's going to be fun.
Yes,
We'll be there,
awesome.
absolutely.
And this seems like a good time to say, I know that the mods have been putting in a donation link. Please consider this a 1 drink minimum if you can. Whatever you would spend at the bar getting the drink that you've just been shown how to make, maybe drop that in the donation bucket for GCLS. Veronica is donating her time for this to be a fundraiser. So
Absolutely.
Please
And
don't.
if anybody made any of these along with Veronica, put something in the chat bar. I'd like to know how they came out. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Suggestions for modifications too are welcome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This
Oh,
is
and
all-
I have a question for you, Veronica. Let's say that you're just starting out thinking you want to have a sort of maybe a bar and you don't know quite how to get started. What are the best first investments that you can make without, spending the farm on 10 different liquors and
right. I
et
think
cetera?
probably the basic liquors. It depends on what you like to drink. So they say that the best cocktail is the one that you like best. There's no such thing as a bad cocktail if somebody likes it. So what I would recommend would be having the basics of whatever spirit you like. And I would go with middle grade cost because you're experimenting with it. Don't go too high. And don't go too high unless you're going to just drink the spirit itself. Because if you want to mix drinks, you lose a lot of the flavor of the spirit anyway. So it doesn't make sense to buy something that's expensive unless it's a spirit forward drink where you can really tell the taste, the taste difference in the drink. But I would recommend, I don't know, middle shelf bourbon, vodka, gin, and anything else that you would like. But those I think are the basics. I would actually consider investing more in some of the tools because you learn to make the drinks with the right tools. And I would also recommend researching at bars. Just go to a bar, ask the bar.
That sounds fun.
And it works. There's this restaurant in San Francisco that we really like called Lamar, and we like their pisco sours. Love the pisco sours.
It's going on my list.
They taught us how to make a maracuya pisco sour. Maracuya is passion fruit. And we asked, how do you make this? And they came up with this thing called perfect puree. The guy brought it out of the fridge, said, this is what we put in it. And it's not fresh passion fruit, but it is frozen. It's actually a puree. And we have since ordered those to make the maracuya sours here at home because we like using passion fruit quite a bit. Makes all the difference. So, so what I would recommend is go to the bar and talk up the bartender about how to make a drink that you like, and get the ingredients for that drink. Start there, and then if you want to do the tools, you get the Boston shaker, get the strainer, but don't go too heavy on the bar tools. You don't really need a whole lot, but go to a good store. Bevmo has it, More has it. In San Francisco, Cask has a great selection. In Los Angeles, there's something called Barkeepers. It has a wonderful selection of bar tools, and you can find a lot of those in good liquor stores.
Right. Even Kohl's will occasionally have a bundle called the Bartender's Toolkit. They may not be top quality things, but you can pick that up for a pretty inexpensive price. Yeah, and get yourself going. But a lot of tools, I find a lot of tools are in the kitchen. If you're willing to work a little bit, like I brought up just to say, this is an invaluable tool. It's a wide mouth funnel with a little bottom, right? You can decant wine that's got sediment in it through that. You use that with a ordinary old coffee filter. You can do all sorts of things with these two things. And you've got them in your kitchen already. So it's a matter of looking at something and going like a pestle and saying, can I muddle those herbs with that pestle? And that turned out I could. If you have one. See, I'm more of a foodie. So I have things like that. And nothing in your kitchen should be a unitasker. It should be good for more than one thing, except maybe a Boston shaker, because that's just, good for what it does. Cherry pitters.
Unless you're inept like me.
The chat is very funny. Where are you going with that, Muddler?
The chat is funny. I know. I'm looking at that.
Is there a tool belt for mixologists?
Right? I think there should be.
I wish that there were. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Then you could, put your tool belt on and you're going to go to work and make all the drinks for the football game. That sounds awesome.
Right. Or for fundraisers, we help people. We do stations where people are making their own drinks, so we go around and help them figure out how to make them.
George is showing off her t-shirt.
People are asking what my shirt says.
Oh, Veronica, I wanted to ask you, you're a detective in your new book. What's her favorite cocktail?
Oh, thanks for asking. She likes the mezcalita. Mezcalita, and she likes mezcal. So mezcalita or a mezcal Bloody Mary.
Oh.
We use a regular mix with mezcal instead of vodka, and usually rimmed with worm salt, gusano salt, which is a bit salty and smoky. Really adds to the flavor.
Yeah, I have friends who love Bloody Marys. Sounds like a great variation.
It is really good. And it's very popular among our friends. We had a big birthday party for my wife in New York, and we had a tea party where we had Bloody Marys, and they asked, how do you want us to make them, whatever. So I told them what kind of mezcal and all. And I went down to the room to check out how he was doing, the bartender, before we started. And he had one pitcher of the mitt, and I said, "Oh, you're going to need more than that." Just a couple. So
I like my Bloody Mary with a lot of horseradish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're looking to open the sinuses and tear yourself up.
A little bit teary.
Yeah. Well, that's therapy for first thing in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not about the alcohol. It's about the
I'm always torn in the morning
benefits.
if I'm at brunch between a Bloody Mary and a mimosa. I'm always torn.
Oh,
But I tend to go with the Bloody Mary because champagne can give me a headache. I'm prone to migraines. I love champagne, but I have to be careful. And so I always want more than one mimosa, and that's not usually a good thing. So I tend to lean towards the Bloody Mary.
Yeah. White wine. White wine and I are not friends.
You know what? That's hard. I love all wine. It's summer. I want rosé. I want whites, but white tends to give me more of a headache than like the possibility of getting a headache is higher with a white wine than a red wine because of the sulfites, obviously. But I love it. I can't help it. And it's summer. And I'm like, I love red wine, but when it's warm out, it feels weird to drink red wine. I want something cool.
Oh, but red wine, you can pour that into a shaker and then add some
fill it up a little bit, but
add a lot of fruit juice and some ice and make sangria, and you can drink sangria all day.
White wine sangria.
Love a good sangria.
Oh, yeah.
White wine sangria with a little bit of peach schnapps.
Ooh. No, Georgia doesn't like peach schnapps.
No, there was a bad experience. Like when I was like 19, and I still can't.
We've all got a Bruno.
I can't
we
even
don't talk about.
And I love peaches. I can eat anything peach, just not peach schnapps. I just can't. Nope. That was the sleep on the bathroom floor night. Nope.
Red wine sangria for you then.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you can put peaches. You can put peaches in the red wine sangria. I'm okay with that.
And for all the people who are going to GCLS for the first time, I got to tell you, you can make sangria in your hotel room. Super easy. All you need is that bucket of ice, red wine, and some orange juice, which you can get at the breakfast buffet, right? You are good to go. And it fits in a glass, and you can sit poolside and watch people swim and drink your sangria. It's very lovely.
I don't remember the name of it, but in Spain, they have red wine with Coke.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember what they call it now. But it wasn't.
That does not sound delicious, but
it wasn't bad, but
I mix Coke with everything, so maybe I need to try that. Huh?
I'm using the Googles.
I was gonna say, is anybody got
Kalamazoo? KALIMOT.
Slept on the bathroom floor once. That was enough.
Red wine and
I did just say red wine and Coke, Cynthia. Yeah. What are you getting from the Google, Karin? Anything?
I put it in the chat because I can't say it. I am a monolingual American. It's really sad. Kalamazoo.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
I have to try that.
You don't recommend it?
I didn't have more than one.
Kalamoko.
What does it?
See. What is it? It's dry red wine, cola, and a lemon wedge. Well, I can see that being a little on the one note.
Yeah, I don't know about
it. Really depends on the wine, right?
Well, I was going to say, you can't they say really good wine and something like that.
They suggest like a Tempranillo or a Malbec, which has got some body to it. But
yes. Those are both ones I like. So
sounds like the kind of thing I would ask on a cruise when I had a free drink package. Could you make me one of those? Because if I don't like it, then you can have it back.
I just want to sip. That's all.
Yeah, I just want to sip. The other thing, and about bitters, I just wanted to mention another thing you can ask a bartender for is if they'll let you have a drop of bitters on a fingertip, just put a little drop on it so you can taste different bitters and really get the feeling of, I don't like that, but I really like that. And if you have a bitters you like, you can use them in cooking to bring out certain flavors a little bit. I've got these wonderful candy cap bitters. They're made from candy cap mushrooms in a local distillery and with like baking spices. And then they the alcohol, it sat in a whiskey cask. So it's the aroma is very bourbon forward, but a half a dropper in a crock pot full of baked beans was poetry.
Oh my goodness, that sounds wonderful.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
He gave me regular orange and rhubarb bitters. And I don't know what to do with them, but I think that they would be delicious in something.
Well, I know someone has tried is just a little bit of like an orange bitter or a fruit bitter. It's something that's really fruity in a fruit salad as part of what you're stirring around.
Like a drop or two? And
a drop or two. It adds a high aroma, and then that bitter that puts depth into the sweetness and might correct a little bit for the fruit being too sour to sweet.
I need to remember that. Okay.
Yeah. So bitters aren't just for cocktails.
Good to know. This is good information. I'm learning so much today.
I'm a thrifty drink. I bought the Candy Cat bitters. I'm going to use them in anything I can manage. But yeah, they were real fine.
I mean, if you're using a drop or two at a time, they last forever.
They'll last forever. Yeah, they don't go bad. And, you'll have a friend, which if you have some dropper bottles and they say, well, I don't have any bitters, I can't, you can always give them a little supply, because the first one's free. Yeah, and send them off to home.
Someone just mentioned Creole bitters in barbecue sauce.
That's a fantastic idea.
Sounds delicious.
And no, I don't think bitters work with peanut butter and jelly, though you can try.
I was going to say, are you sure? Have you tried? Because maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Oh, I'd put the bitters in a cocktail with PB&J, if you're being sophisticated.
Well, I mean, put it in some screwball. Right? That stuff is surprisingly delicious.
If you have a banana daiquiri with your PB&J, that's starting to make sense. I mean, that's basically a food group, right? That's an Elvis, deconstructed Elvis, right?
I like it.
PB&J and a banana daiquiri. That works.
I like it. Brilliant.
Excellent.
What else? Do we leave anything out? What else do you need to talk about?
Orange bitters and marmalade. Yes, I get that. That would work.
Chambord. That's brilliant. Chambord is so delicious.
Yeah. You guys are great. We're all learning stuff. I'm like making notes
down.
Does the chat transcript get saved?
I was going to say, I need to take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of the chat bar. I'm learning so much.
I do have to say, I've never had a conversation in a mixology lesson about peanut butter and bitters.
There you go.
Well, we are the queer branch of the family here, and we think out of the box, right?
Absolutely.
We look at pretty people and say, oh, they could be gay.
Yep. Yes, we do all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
And then we make them gay in our books.
And then we do. We absolutely make them just as queer as we can manage. That's our whole goal. And here we are. Our hour is up.
Yep.
And, I didn't even have to explain to anybody the different regions of the tongue and what they do. I presume everyone is well versed in all of that.
That is sad for all of us.
It all works. But any last questions from
guys?
It was
so much fun. Thank you.
It's really fun. Please don't forget to donate to GCLS. They made this happen. Volunteers behind the scenes, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
They brought the three of us together and made this happen. And thank you, Veronica, so much for donating your time and your expertise. And this was just absolutely lovely.
And I think we will all be in Albuquerque. So we will see there.
We're going to have a hug conga line.
Yes. It's less than 2 months away, you guys. It's less than 2 months away.
It's 6 weeks, 6 and a couple of days.
It's been like 2.5 years since I've hugged any of you.
I know.
Well, Veronica, I've never hugged you. So, you're in.
I'm looking forward. You're in for it. Yeah. If you don't want hugs, just give us the whole,
That's okay.
But it's okay to say no to the hugs, but we're huggers.
It's going to be so great to be in like the same hotel with people. I can't wait.
It's going to be fantastic. And anybody who's not joining us in Albuquerque, Denver in 2023, another fantastic place to visit. So
yes, I love Denver.
Great.
And let's do this again sometime soon.
Yeah, we should.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you all.
Everybody. Have a great night.
We love it. Thank you for showing up.
Bye-bye.
Bye.